We were taught a lie about the first civilizations of North America. We were told this land held only scattered tribes, small, isolated, primitive. But that story was not just incomplete, it was engineered. Because buried beneath our feet was not a lonely village, but the ghost of a continental super network. Cities, trade highways, mathematics, astronomy, a civilization as advanced as medieval Europe, and then erased from history. If you want more history they tried to bury, subscribe now before this episode disappears like the rest. For centuries, when settlers arrived, they documented what they believed, that the people here were nomadic, tribal, without cities, without systems. They were wrong, or worse, they were lying, because beneath their horses, they were literally riding over the ruins of a lost world. Whole cities, not camps, gridded roads, not randomness, engineering, not improvisation. It began with anomalies, artifacts, showing up impossibly far from where they should be. Copper from the upper Great Lakes found in villages near the Gulf of Mexico. Shell from the Florida coast found in settlements near Canada. Obsidian from Yellowstone found in burial sites in the Deep South. The pattern was too deliberate to be coincidence. Not isolated trading, a network, a continental network. Archaeologists began mapping the pattern. Then the scale hit. Over 3,000 connected sites, mapped from the Atlantic to the Rockies, from the Great Lakes to the Gulf. Some small, some vast, all connected by trade, purpose, and design. They weren't wandering tribes. They were regional nodes, part of a system. And then came the structures. Earthworks precise to astronomical alignment. Circles and enclosures as wide as Vatican City. Pyramids of soil and clay, engineered with mathematical accuracy. Some served as administrative centers, some as spiritual cores, some as fortified strongholds. When early European settlers saw them, they refused to believe Native Americans built them. Their own writings admit it. They invented myths of lost white tribes or even Atlantean settlers. Anything to avoid crediting the indigenous world with civilization on par with Europe. Because if North America had a civilization equal to Europe, then the entire narrative of discovery and civilizing the primitive collapses. And then, the turning point. One site, far larger than any yet uncovered. A metropolis that rivaled London in its prime. 20,000 residents at its peak. Grand plazas, fortifications, religious centers aligned to solar events with precision rivaling Stonehenge. Its name would be Cahokia. But Cahokia was not an anomaly. It was the capital, the beating heart of a continental civilization. A civilization that stretched across what is now the United States, long before the concept of America existed. A civilization with roads, spiritual authority, coordinated agriculture, surplus economics, hierarchy, diplomacy, and trade networks moving materials faster than medieval Europe was capable of. This was not a primitive world waiting to be civilized. It was civilization. And its collapse was not a slow fading. It was sudden, a systemic shock, climate, conflict, religious fracture, possibly all three. Villages abandoned, capitals deserted, not conquered, simply gone. And the land erased their memory. Forests swallowed their avenues, rivers shifted and drowned their holy sites. European settlers arrived generations later and assumed they were first, but they were walking on ruins. Here's the truth schools never taught you. North America was not empty. It was not primitive. It was not waiting. It was already alive, complex, connected, advanced. And the descendants of that empire walk among us still, not vanished, not extinct, ignored. This was not lost history, it was buried history, and now it is unburied. If this opened your eyes, subscribe to ChronoVault, share this. Because the next empire they erased is even older, and even closer than you think.